The distress signal the skies above the alien world of Alaris were on fire. Massive black machines flew through the clouds, raining destruction on peaceful cities below. Buildings made of crystal and light turned into ash. The ground shook as giant. War beasts called the Varnax Swarm marched across the land, crushing anything that moved. The Alarian queen, Seraya Ven, stood on the edge of her royal tower, watching her world fall apart. Her people were artists, healers, and dreamers. They had no weapons that could stop machines like this. The Varnax did not speak. They did not offer peace. They came only to destroy. Inside the tower, her advisors begged her to flee. But she refused. "We will not run," she said, her voice shaking. "We will call them." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what she meant. The queen turned to her communication priest. "Send the signal across every star system. Use the ancient codes. Call for aid." The priest hesitated. "Even Earth?" The queen nodded. "Especially Earth." A signal into darkness far beyond Alaris. The galaxy listened. Many species heard the call. Most ignored it. Some turned away in fear. A few sent kind words, but no real help. Then the signal reached a small, silent outpost floating beyond Jupiter's orbit. The outpost had no name. It was not on any map. But inside, the signal lit up red. A man in black armor stood up slowly. His face was half covered in scars. His name was Captain Reeve, and he had been waiting for something like this. He listened to the Queen's voice play on a loop. "To any world who still believes in mercy, please, help us. We are falling." Reeve turned to a locked chamber and placed his hand on the scanner. The doors opened with a heavy hiss. Inside were 6 soldiers, standing in cryosleep. Their names were written on their chambers: Vix, Daran, Locke, Ashira, Kral, and Juno. Each one had once been known across the galaxy. Not as heroes, but as monsters in human skin. They were called the Apex Team, Earth's answer back on Alaris. The queen stood in her palace, her crown cracked, her eyes filled with tears. The signal had been sent for days. No one had answered, but then the sky changed. A strange sound rolled across the mountains, a deep humming like thunder buried under metal. A shadow appeared in the clouds, moving fast. It wasn't a Varnax ship. It was smooth, black, and shaped like a spear. The ship pierced the air, slowing as it descended toward the palace courtyard. Illyrian guards rushed to defend their queen, raising their glowing staffs, but the queen raised her hand. "No," she said quietly. "Let them land." The ship touched the ground without a sound. A door opened. The air shimmered with heat and static dot. Then they stepped out, 7 humans tall, silent, dressed in black armor that looked like it had survived 100 battles. Their faces were cold. Their eyes were harder than stone. At the front stood Captain Reeve. He looked around slowly, scanning the alien guards, the towers, the broken skyline. Then his voice cut through the silence. "You called for help." "They." Queen stepped forward. "You're from Earth?" Reeve nodded. "We're what Earth sends when it wants the war to end." A different kind of help. The Queen hesitated. "Where are your diplomats? Your peacekeepers?" Reeve looked at her like she had spoken a joke. "Earth doesn't send peacekeepers to machine worlds. You don't talk to a virus. You burn it." Behind him, the other humans began to move. One checked his weapon and energy rifle too advanced for even the Queen to recognize. Another whispered into a device and made a map of the battlefield appear in the air. The woman named Vix tapped her cybernetic eye and scanned the horizon. They moved with silent precision, like wolves ready to strike. The Queen felt a chill. These were not saviors. They were something else, something colder. "Are you here to protect us?" she asked. Captain Reeve turned his eyes to her. No, he said. We're here to kill what's killing you. Closing suspense hook, the skies rumbled again. A Varnax dreadnought entered orbit, its massive body glowing with red light. One of the human soldiers, Duran, looked up and smiled. They're early, he said. Reeve didn't even blink. Good, he whispered. Let's show them why Earth stopped making peace a long time ago. Arrival of the Apex. The black dropship stood silent in the palace courtyard, like a beast waiting to wake. The people of Alaris gathered at a distance, afraid, curious, and confused. These humans looked nothing like what they expected. No banners, no medals, no warm smiles. Just dark armor, silent eyes, and a storm behind every step. Captain Reeve walked forward slowly. His boots crushed the glass-like petals of Illyrian flowers. But he didn't notice. His eyes were locked on the horizon, where black smoke rose from the mountains. This world is already bleeding, he said quietly. Time to find the knife. The Queen's warning, Queen Saraya, followed him, her golden robe dragging across scorched stone. You must understand, she said softly. The Varnax don't think. They don't fear. They consume. Our soldiers tried everything, nothing worked. Reeve stopped. He turned to her, voice like steel. Good, he said. We weren't built for fear. We were built to break what doesn't bleed. His words made her shiver. Were they really the help she called for? Or a new kind of threat? Apex team assembles inside the courtyard. The other human warriors were already moving. Each one had a different look, but the same cold presence. Vix, the sniper, stood on a tower edge, her glowing eyes scanning miles ahead. Her voice crackled in Reeve's earpiece. I see enemy movement. 6 mechanical units approaching from the west. No signs of emotion, just programming. Duran, the heavy weapons expert, rolled out a crate of Earth-made gear. He laughed as he set up a turret with one hand. Let's see how they like real firepower. Ashira, the close combat fighter, sharpened her twin blades, metal fused with alien tech. Hope these machines know how to scream. Even the youngest, Juno, just 17 Earth years old, looked too calm. She opened a data link to the Illyrian city map, her fingers flying across the hologram. If they're Swarm class, she said, they'll hit the outer wall in 3 minutes. A taste of Earth's fury. Just as Juno finished speaking, the ground began to shake. The Varnax were coming. 6 large war machines, made of black steel and glowing cores, marched through the jungle path toward the city. Their arms were plasma cannons. Their faces were nothing but red slits, soulless and silent. Illyrian guards panicked. Fall back. Close the gates. But Reeve raised a hand. No. He looked to his team. Apex engage. What happened next didn't look like a battle. It looked like annihilation. The first strike, Vix fired the first shot. Her bullet a smart round bent mid-air, slicing into a Varnax's core. It exploded instantly, sending fire into the air. Ashira was already moving. She sprinted forward, blades spinning. She leapt, flipped, and sliced through the legs of another war machine, sending it crashing to the ground. She didn't stop. Duran's turret came alive, spitting fire so loud it shook windows. You picked the wrong galaxy, he shouted. Juno shut down the enemy's local signal. The machines paused for just 1 second, and that was all the time Reeve needed. He moved like a ghost. One punch to the central node. The machine froze. Another kick and its head was gone. Even the Queen couldn't look away. Queen Saraya watched. From the tower, mouth open in shock. These humans didn't just fight, they hunted. They moved like they had trained for this moment their entire lives. No fear, no hesitation, only instinct. She turned to her advisors. This is what Earth calls help? An old general nodded. This is what Earth calls cleanup. A message from the machines. As the last machine exploded, a signal burst. To the air loud and unnatural, a deep, broken voice echoed through every communicator in the city. "We see you now, humans. We remember you. We will evolve." Reeve didn't flinch. "Let them evolve," he said, turning away. "We'll still be worse." Closing suspense hook high above the planet, far beyond the clouds, a massive Varnax ship turned its sensors toward Alaris. Inside, a being made of wires and flesh, the Swarm Queen opened her glowing red eyes. For the first time in centuries, she felt curiosity. "Earth has sent its monsters," she whispered. "How delightful." First contact with the Varnax. The battlefield outside the city gates was silent now, except for the soft hiss of burning metal. 6 Varnax machines lay destroyed. Their black armor had been torn apart. Some burned, others sparked. One still twitched. As its systems failed to shut down, the Apex team stood among the wreckage. Ashira wiped her blade clean on her sleeve. That was a warm-up. Captain Reeve looked toward the jungle. That wasn't even the first wave. The Varnax strike back in the dark hills beyond the city. A strange vibration filled the ground. It wasn't just the sound of machines. It was rhythm. Thump. 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 Then, from the shadows, they came this time in numbers. Dozens of Varnax war beasts marched forward, glowing red in the night. They were bigger, faster, and more armored than the first group. These ones had adapted. Queen Saraya watched from the tower and whispered, "They're learning." Juno's eyes went wide as her scanner lit up. "Captain, we've got a real problem." Reeve didn't look surprised. "Good. Let's show them how humans respond to problems." The ambush the Apex team didn't wait for the machines to get closer. They moved first. Vix climbed to the tallest tower with her sniper rifle. From there, she could see everything. The Ran stayed low and buried landmines along the main road. Ashira and Locke moved through the jungle silent shadows, preparing for close combat. Juno sent out a drone. It flew above the enemy, mapping their paths and uploading weak points in real time. And Reeve? He walked straight into the valley between them. Alone. The Varnax focus on Rive. The machines locked onto him instantly. To them, he was one human easy. Target. They all moved in, weapons charged. But Reeve didn't move. He raised his hand, slowly, and snapped his fingers. Boom. Daran's traps exploded in perfect rhythm. 3 Varnax units flew into the air, torn apart before they could react. The others tried to scatter, but by then, Vix was firing from above. Her bullets moved like lightning, each one striking a weak point. 2 more machines fell. Apex unleashed Ashira, charged from the trees, spinning like a storm. Her blades cut deep into the machine's legs and joints. Locke followed close, using twin gauntlets to crush armor like paper. He tackled one unit to the ground and slammed its head until sparks flew from its mouth. Juno fed real-time coordinates to everyone. "Left flank. Behind you, Vix. 1 cloaked unit near the ridge." They weren't just fighting. They were performing. The Apex team moved like one body with many hands, each deadly, each precise. The Swarm Queen watches far above, on the Varnax flagship. The Swarm Queen watched everything through her machine's eyes. She studied the humans, how they moved, how they thought. "They are coordinated," she said to herself, "but not perfect. We will study. We will adapt." She tapped her claws against a glowing console. "Prepare the Titan class. Earth has declared war." A costly victory after 20 minutes of non-stop combat. The machines fell. Every single one. But victory had a price. Daran limped from a blast wound. Vix had a damaged eye lens. Juno was pale from system overload. Ashira had a long gash across her arm. But she didn't flinch. Captain Reeve stood tall, but his armor smoked. His shoulder was bleeding beneath the metal. Still, he looked up at the burning horizon and said, "This was only the first real fight." The queen's doubt turns to respect. Queen Seraya came down from her tower and walked through the battlefield. She saw the wreckage, the blackened ground, the smell of fire and oil. But also she saw her people alive, children safe, cities still standing. She looked at Reeve. "You're not what we expected, but you're exactly what we needed." Reeve didn't smile. "Save your thanks for later. The worst is coming." Closing suspense hook that night, deep underground. A giant Varnax chamber opened. Inside stood something ancient, something Earth had fought once before, and nearly lost to. Wasn't a machine. It wasn't a soldier. It was a Titan 10 stories tall, with a core that burned like a sun and a voice like thunder. And it had only one purpose: destroy anything human. Why Earth sent them the battlefield was quiet again. Only smoke and silence remained. But the Apex team knew better. Battles with the Varnax were never over. They just paused, waiting to strike harder next time. Captain Reeve stood on a ruined stone wall, watching the jungle move in the distance. He could feel it. Something bigger was coming. Behind him, the queen approached. "You knew," she said, softly. "You knew they would return stronger." Reeve didn't answer right away. Then he said, without turning around, "That's why Earth sent us." A flashback to Earth years ago. On Earth, darkness fell over an entire continent. The machines had come from the stars, just like they had on Alaris. Cold, silent, and full of code written in hunger. They weren't called Varnax back then. They were just the enemy. And they almost won. Cities burned. Billions died. Peace treaties meant nothing. Earth tried kindness. It tried logic. It failed. Until one small country did something different. They didn't send ambassadors. They sent killers. And those killers? They became the Apex team. The program no one talks about. In a black site deep beneath Antarctica, the Apex Initiative was born. 7 humans were selected from across the ruins of Earth. Not because they were the strongest. But because they had nothing left to lose. Reeve had lost his family to a machine bombing in New Tokyo. Ashura was the last survivor of a fallen colony in the Outer Rim. Duran had once been in prison for a war. Crime now turned into a weapon for Earth. Juno, the youngest, had been raised in labs. She had never known a normal life. Earth didn't make soldiers. Earth made predators. Predators who learned how to kill machines better than the machines knew how to kill them. Back on Alaris, the Queen understands. Has Reeve told the story? Queen. Seraya listened in silence. "You weren't just sent to protect us," she said. "You were sent to wipe them out." Reeve nodded. "When Earth helps, it makes sure the problem never comes back." Her eyes dropped to the scar on his neck. "How many battles have you fought?" Reeve stared at the horizon. "Too many to count. But I remember every face we couldn't save." Varnax prepare their Titan far away. In orbit, the Swarm Queen stood before her greatest weapon, the Titan-class destroyer. It was taller than most cities, built from 100 failed wars. It had no pilots. It was alive. She ran her metal hand over its face. "You will destroy Earth's beasts," she said. "Let them feel what fear truly is." The Titan's red eyes blinked once. Slowly, a quiet moment before the storm that evening, the Apex team sat by a fire near the outer wall. Duran roasted alien. Meat on a stick. Vix cleaned her rifle. Ashira stared at the stars without speaking. Juno ran system checks, blinking away exhaustion. No one spoke much. Reeve finally broke the silence. "Tomorrow's fight won't be like today. They've built something." Ashira nodded. "I felt it watching me." Duran grinned. "Good. Let's give it a show it won't forget." The Queen brings a gift. Queen Seraya arrived quietly, holding a glowing cube. This is ancient Ilarian tech, she said. We used it to calm storms. Now, maybe you can use it to control the storm coming. Juno studied it, amazed. It's beautiful. Your people made this? The queen smiled sadly. We made music. We made art, but we forgot how to make warriors. That's why we needed you. Reeve looked up. And we forgot how to make peace. That's why we need you too. Closing suspense hook, the wind picked up. A strange pressure filled the air. Birds flew away. Trees fell silent. And in the distance, a giant red light appeared in the clouds, burning like a second sun. The Titan had arrived. Its shadow stretched across half the jungle. Its voice cracked through the sky. We have studied you. We have copied you. Now we will end you. Reeve stood up, face calm. Let's see what copies are worth against the real thing. The human cost. The sky was no longer blue. It burned red, painted by the glow of the Varnax Titan. The massive machine stood like a mountain over the trees, its every step shaking the ground. Birds flew away. The jungle went silent. Even the bravest Ilarian warriors stepped back in fear, but not the Apex team. They stood at the edge of the jungle wall, staring up at the coming storm. Captain Reeve looked at his team. His voice was calm. We don't run, we don't kneel, and we sure as hell don't lose. Titan-class weapon enters the field. The Varnax Titan moved with terrifying control. 10 legs, multiple arms. Its body was part machine, part living metal. Red energy pulsed inside it, like a heart built to kill. Juno's eyes widened as she scanned it. It's adapting. Every second. It's studying us as we study it. Ashira gripped her blades. Let it watch. I want it to see who ends it. Reeve turned to his team. Same plan. Hit it from all sides. But this one fights back. The battle begins. The Titan opened its mouth. A blast of plasma fire roared across the jungle, melting trees and stone in seconds. The Apex team dodged, barely. Duran charged first, his launcher firing smart grenades. The explosions shook the Titan's lower limbs, but it didn't fall. Ashira leapt onto a leg, slicing at the armor with her twin swords. Sparks flew, but the Titan swatted her like a bug. She hit the ground hard, bleeding. Vix fired from the high cliffs, bullets targeting its sensors. She managed to blind one eye, but the Titan didn't slow down. Juno's critical role. Juno stayed behind, deep inside the control tent. Her hands flew across holographic panels. I've cracked its signal pattern. I can shut down one system, but only for 30 seconds. Reeve's voice came through the comm. Do it, now. She hit the switch. The Titan paused. Its limbs froze. Reeve ran in. Reeve's gamble. Reeve ran under the frozen Titan, carrying a charge built from Ilarian and Earth tech. He placed it on a central joint and shouted, Vix, blow the eye. She fired. The Titan screamed. Sensors blinded. Reeve jumped back, but not far enough. One of the Titan's legs rebooted early, and it struck. Hero falls. The leg slammed into the ground, and Reeve, with it. Dust exploded into the air. Captain! Ashira screamed, her voice cracking. Vix stopped firing. Duran ran. Even Juno froze in place. When the dust cleared, they saw him half buried under metal and stone. Reeve was alive. Barely. Blood ran from his mouth. His armor cracked. His breathing was slow. But he looked up and smiled. Did it work? Juno's voice shook. Yes, you broke one of its main legs. It's slowing down. Reeve nodded. Then keep going. Finish it. An alien queen sees true bravery. Queen Saraya ran to the battlefield. Her royal guards tried to hold her back, but she ignored them. She knelt beside Reeve. His face was pale. His eyes tired. She took his hand gently. You risked your life for people you just met. Reeve smiled weakly. We don't fight for faces. We fight for what's right. Tears filled the Queen's eyes. You are not monsters. You are more noble than any crown I wear. Apex team pushes forward with new rage. The team attacked again. Ashira climbed the Titan with fire in her eyes. Duran pulled out his last rocket. Juno directed the final strike. And Vix, through her scope, whispered, This one's for Reeve. She fired. The Titan's core exploded in a flash of red and white. The shockwave shattered glass across 3 cities. The beast finally fell. But the war isn't over. As the smoke cleared, the Apex team stood over the Titan's corpse. But no one celebrated. Reeve lay silent, his body still. The Queen looked at the sky. We won a battle, she whispered, but the war has just begun. High above the planet, the Swarm Queen received the signal. She didn't look angry. She looked interested. So, they bleed. Closing suspense hook, the Varnak swarm had thousands more. The Titan was only one of many. But Earth had more than soldiers. It had legends. And legends don't die easily. The war. They didn't expect the Titan was dead. Its burning shell lay across the jungle, broken and silent. The red glow in its chest had faded, but the sky above Alaris still burned dark, and the war was far from over. Inside the palace, Captain Reeve lay still on a recovery bed. Machines kept his heart beating. His team had saved the world, but nearly lost him in the process. A.S.H.R. sat quietly beside him. Her sword was still at her side. She hadn't taken her armor off in hours. Don't die now, she whispered. You said this wasn't over. The Swarm Queen moves far above. The Varnak Swarm Queen hovered inside her warship. Her long metal fingers traced patterns on a glowing map of the galaxy. One word repeated across her screens. Earth. She had underestimated them. Her Titan was supposed to be unstoppable, but Earth soldiers were not normal. They are not defenders, she whispered. They are destroyers. Wild, chaotic, unpredictable. Her eyes burned red. Good. Let us meet them fully then. She gave the order. Awaken the core. Earth responds back on Earth, deep inside. A mountain bunker. The Apex emergency signal blinked red. A man in a dark coat watched the footage of the Titan battle. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He just nodded. Send the second wave, he said, and inform Alaris. Earth does not abandon its own. Reeve wakes hours later. Reeve opened his eyes. Pain covered his body, but he smiled anyway. Juno leaned over him. You really tried to die on us, huh? Reeve grunted. Not yet. He sat up slowly, looking out the window toward the jungle. What's the status? Ashira stepped in. We broke the Titan, but the Varnak's queen is still up there. And she's coming. Reeve nodded. Then we fight her too. Final strategy. The Apex team gathered around a HOLO-map. Juno pointed. The Queen's ship is massive. A full war hive. We can't take it alone, Ashira smirked. Since when do we do anything alone? Just then, a signal came through. Dozens of dots appeared on the map. Earth ships entering orbit. The humans weren't alone anymore. From orbit, soldiers dropped in. Heavy armor, walking tanks, tactical drones, elite squads. All trained under the Apex doctrine. The swarm had sent a Titan. Earth sent its nightmares. The final assault as the Queen's ship descended toward Alaris. The sky lit up with fire. The Apex team led the charge. Vix provided cover fire from the cliffs. Ashira and Duran fought side by side through machine swarms. Juno hacked the Queen's defense grid in midair, riding a drone like a comet. And Reeve, despite his wounds, walked straight into the Queen's chamber with a plasma blade in his hand. The Queen laughed. You are injured, broken. Reeve smiled through blood. I'm human. That's when we're most dangerous. They clashed. 1. Last choice, the Queen tried to infect Reeve's mind with a swarm virus. She tried to crush him with metal limbs, but Reeve held the line. He placed a detonation core inside her central mind hive. She realized too late. You would die with me? Reeve stared her down. You invaded the wrong planet. The explosion shook the ship, but just before the final blast, Ashira pulled Reeve out. They escaped. The Queen did not. Victory. And a warning Galeris stood free. Its skies were blue again. Flowers bloomed where fires once burned. Queen Soraya stood beside Reeve and his team. You saved more than a world, she said. You saved hope. But Reeve wasn't smiling. He looked at the stars. The galaxy just learned the lesson. Ashira nodded. Never push Earth into a corner. Baran grinned. Because when Earth answers, Juno finished the sentence, it sends Apex. Final line for YouTube Impact. They didn't expect monsters. They didn't expect mercy either. They called for help. Earth sent legends. End.